There's a difference between farmers who farm the land and those who farm the farmers. At least that was a distinction made by socialists in the state of Oklahoma in the 1900s and 19-teens, which I learned about at a history conference this weekend, only to come home and then check the news on Sunday morning to see Secretary of the Treasury Bissett make the same mistake. Let's take a look.
Well, Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer, so I have felt this pain too.
So let's talk the difference between farmers and landowners. So this is from a conference I was at this weekend. That is the keynote speaker, Dr. Jim Bissett, and that is his book, Agrarian Socialism in America, Marx, Jefferson, and Jesus in the Oklahoma Countryside, 1904 to 1920. And what he was looking at was the kind of unique, peculiar success of the Socialist Party in the state of Oklahoma in the 1900s and 19-teens before it was crushed in a lot of the anti-dissent stuff from World War I and the First Red Scare. Dr. Bissett talked about how the Socialist Party in Oklahoma was very good at communicating with and creating common ground with independent land-owning but small farmers in Oklahoma who are constantly in debt, who have liens taken against their crops so that they can survive the year, and then when the crop comes in, it might not be enough to pay off that lien, and they are just one step away from being tenant farmers or sharecroppers. So they're very successful in communicating with these poor landowning farmers. But Dr. Bissett also spoke about how those same socialists would run into issues when they were trying to convince the National Party about this success they were having in Oklahoma and how the party could tap into these small, independent, but indebted farmers. So the problem was that socialists often see anyone who owns the means of production as being the bourgeoisie, not the working class, not someone you need solidarity with in this movement. And what the Socialist Party in Oklahoma was arguing was that no, these landowners are one step away from being tenant farmers or sharecroppers. They are always in debt. They do need our help. They are part of the working class, and they are in no way in the same class as large landowners who do not farm their own land, but have tenant farmers farming it for them. So as Dr. Bissett said, there was a difference between people who farmed the land and the people who farmed the farmers. So Dr. Bissett talks about how these Oklahoma socialists really created a very American form, an agrarian form of socialism that would apply to these independent farmers and got them on board, which is how the Socialist Party did so well in the state in the 1900s and teens. Now it's kind of easy to see why the Socialist Party would need some education on the difference between those land-owning, independent, and often indebted farmers versus landowners who have a ton of working class people farming their land but are in no way working class. But occasionally those large landowners will put on the trapping of this working class identity when it is politically convenient for them. As we saw with Secretary Bissett here, I'm actually a soybean farmer. I have felt this pain too. In response to all of the criticisms from actual working class farmers about the tariff policy and farming policies of this administration. If you want to learn more about these socialists in Oklahoma in the 1900s and teens who were very successful in building the party there, take a look at Agrarian Socialism in America by Dr. Jim Bissett. There's some wonderful quotes here from socialist Christians in Oklahoma claiming Jesus was a socialist and that those capitalist Christians were mistaken in their Christianity. And one of my favorites was a quote about Jesus being the first socialist, organizing the first union of 12, though it did have one scab, meaning Judas, which I thought was hilarious. I also think as a teacher, combining some of those quotes from the socialist Christians in Oklahoma in the teens would pair well with Bruce Barton's 1920s work on Jesus Christ as the first capitalist businessman. So that would be a fun kind of way to teach this.